From Florida's capital, this is Power Play.
The 2008 legislative session is history, and so is its drastic level of budget cuts. Who wielded the most power in this legislative session? We'll talk about that on Power Play today with one of the most powerful journalists in Florida's modern history, Lucy Morgan of the St. Pete Times. Welcome, Lucy.
Thank you for inviting me.
The 2008 session is fairly history, and how will it best be remembered?
Not well. Drastic cuts in the budget probably will top anybody's memory of it. A lack of leadership, I think, is evident, and I think we've seen the fruition of term limits come and explode on us in this session, with a lot of members who are being term limited out of both houses and want to be something else, and they've spent a lot of time trying to make themselves look good to be something else.
But the reason we have a budget crisis is the lawmakers and the governor walk into a drastic revenue shortfall, so that's what they're left to deal with. How they deal with it?
Well, they whacked about $4-5 billion out of the budget and cut virtually every element of government that we have. They left a few pearls in there. I mean, there's a $34 billion expenditure for a new courthouse in Tallahassee that some might question the need for. There are things like that that you're going to find throughout the budget. We always do. It will be months before we truly know what they've done, because I suspect that there are some gems buried in bills throughout the session that give an advantage to somebody somewhere in the state, and we won't know about it until we begin to sort out the words.
Earlier in the session, we heard Democratic Senator Geller say that these cuts are so drastic that people will actually die. We also heard the phrase that education would be held harmless. Are either of those statements true?
Well, I think the first is true. I think there will be people who die. We have drastically cut medical care, the money that's there for adoption of children. I mean, it's ironic to me that we have a group of Republicans who tout adoption as the solution to abortion and other ills of ours, and yet they cut the funding for it, so that we will have fewer children adopted, and we will have people who cannot get the medical care that they need, who will undoubtedly die. I mean, we've got dialysis patients that will not have, that are on Medicaid, that won't be able to get it, things like that. So yeah, I think we will see over the next year people pointing to people who died. And the second part, holding education fundless, no. You see it in every county in the state. Schools are being closed, personnel being laid off as schools try to meet the cuts that are demanded of them.
And even in this really bleak budget year, unprecedented in my memory, Governor Christ steps up with this Cover Florida healthcare plan for nearly 4 million Floridians. How is that all turning out in this tough year?
Well, it appears he's going to get something. Now, it probably won't be all he wanted, but it appears he's getting some health care program that may help some of it. But I don't think there is enough money out there to solve the problems that are there. And I don't see any chance that either party would put a tax increase in place. It has become verboten in Florida politics at the moment. I think part of that is that we have elected leaders who are not really demonstrating leadership, and until they can prove to the citizenry of Florida that they would spend the money well, the Floridians are not going to support a tax increase.
So yet another constitutional amendment going to voters for them to make a decision about tax reform.
Oh, I think they'd love for the voters to make every decision so that they didn't have to put their future career on the line by making a decision.
Well, taking a step back after 60 days, who demonstrated the most breathtaking display of power during the entire session, if you had to single someone or something out?
Well, I think it would be that group of senators that blocked Senator Webster's attempt to force people getting an abortion to also get a sonogram and look at it before they get an abortion. It was yet another encroachment on the right to get an abortion. I expected Webster to win it. It happened on a day when they were honoring him for his 28 years in the legislature, naming rooms after him and things. Jim King, senator from Jacksonville, former president, led a group of senators who opposed it, and we had a very unusual 20-20 tie in the Senate.
And that wasn't good enough to get it through.
No, couldn't pass it.
So blocking the abortion bill, the power play of the session?
I'd say so.
Lucy Morgan of the St. Pete Times, thank you. You're the one and only Lucy Morgan.
I'm just old, Ron.
Go to the Safety Review for the latest political news, and we'll see you next time on Power Play.